Aloha, super friend. It is I, Corey Leland, doing another ranking the albums video. The band I'm ranking this week, called The BABYS, spelled BABYS, in case you're not familiar, was fronted by lead singer-songwriter John Waite. And John would go on later after the five BABYS albums, of course, to have a successful solo career. You may likely have heard the hit song Missin' You, as in I Ain't Missing You at All. Yeah, that's the BABYS lead singer John Waite. My least favorite album by the BABYS is their debut, 1976, called The BABYS. And it was produced, at least there's a producer credit for Bob Ezrin, who produced the classic Alice Cooper records and Kiss Destroyer with Beth, when they had the big hit with Beth. He did The Wall, but for some reason, you would never know. You just can't hear any of that classic kind of production on this album. It seems like he was really there at all. But the debut album is not one of my favorites. Obviously, it's my least favorite, but good song called If You Got the Time, and I always like the ballad Laura. Coming in at number 4 of the 5 BABYS albums, and it's tough because I love this album. Union Jacks. Yeah, there was a lineup change. This is their 4th record of 5. After the first 3, during the recording of their 3rd album, they released Michael Corby, who was a band member originally, of course, and he played a rhythm guitar and some keyboards. But he was gone, and they brought in 2 members of note here. Ricky Phillips, the bass player, who was blonde at the time, and Jonathan Cain. Jonathan Cain played in the BABYS for 2 albums before joining Journey. Wow. And then he co-wrote Don't Stop Believin' and Faithfully and a lot of their huge hits, and just made, no doubt, giant boatloads of money. But at this time, he joined the BABYS for Union Jacks, 1980, and Midnight Rendezvous, great song. I actually sang that at my first band in high school. And Back on My Feet Again is on this one. This is a good, strong album. Interesting to note for me personally, Ricky Phillips, many years later, right around 1999 or 2000, I was recording in the pool house of a musician named Tom Gimbel. And Tom, at the time and for many years, was a member of the band Foreigner. You might have heard of them. Tom played keyboards, rhythm guitar, and saxophone. Wow. Man, I mean, that saxophone solo in Urgent is so killer, but I digress. So, Ricky Phillips, the bass player from the BABYS, who I was a huge fan, I loved this band in high school. He played on some of my songs. I was recording at Tom's studio, and they play golf together. He rang him up, and I hired Ricky. And that night, listening to the daily things we did, I cried a couple tears of joy because I was so happy that someone I such a big fan of so young played on some of my tunes and sounded great, by the way. So this is a very strong album, but when I really had to break it down, my number 4 of 5. Coming in at my number 3 top BABYS album is one. Um, oh yeah, I saw this tour actually also too. Interesting story. We're right up against the stage at Sacramento State University for this show in 1980. Opening band was a no-name band. I don't remember who it was, but during this concert, John Waite is drinking Dos Equis beer, right? And I'm an impressionable high schooler. And we are right below the stage and getting very thirsty because we're right up against the stage for a couple hours by then. And he's drinking Dos Equis. I'm very thirsty. The guy next to me, give me a sip, give me the hunter, give me the beer, give me the beer. And John Waite hands him the beer, a Dos Equis beer. After he took a hit of it, I grabbed it from him and took a hit of it. And then I didn't always drink beer, but when I did, it was in fact Dos Equis. Okay, so Coming in at my number 3 top BABYS album was their last album called On the Edge. Big single. I really liked the single called Turn and Walk Away. She's My Girl is a good song. Sweet 17, okay, Postcard and Downtown, really strong album. I mean, I like this album a lot. But just even from the title, you can tell On the Edge, John Waite was getting ready to leave. And it is a good album. I saw them this year also. They were the opening band for Alice Cooper and his Special Forces tour. On the Edge, my number 3. My number 2 record. Got to go back to this 2 and 1. This is from 1977. It's called Broken Heart. Number 2. Yeah, just a lot of sentimental value here, but a huge hit from this year. You may remember Isn't It Time? And if the name doesn't ring a bell, search the BABYS Isn't It Time? I mean, if you were around back then, if you were even a young teenager as I was, or just listening to the radio, Isn't It Time is such a great song. What a great hit. A lot of strings on this album. The title track, Broken Heart. Wow, I used to just love, love, love that song. And strong record, my number 2 favorite BABYS album, Broken Heart. Coming in as my top favorite album. And again, I really had to think about this a lot, but when it comes right down to it, this song, this album is just really near and dear to my heart. The album is called Head First. Always loved that album cover. I mean, Head First. And of course, the song Head First is a rocker. But the hit on here, written by the same guys that wrote Isn't It Time on Broken Heart, their second album. This album has Every Time I Think of You. If you haven't heard that song in a while, check it out. Every Time I Think of You is a great hit. I Was One is on here. Please Don't Leave Me Here. You. Wow. California. This is a strong album. I really do like it. It's my favorite BABYS album of all time. John Waite was still just playing the bass and singing. I'm a singing bass player too, so I wasn't at the time, but I was a big fan of this band. I think they would have been much bigger. I don't know why they weren't. Not exactly sure. They could have been much bigger than they were. Maybe because the lyrics aren't as strong as some artists, but great singer, John Waite. And in any event, thanks for watching. This has been my ranking the album video on the BABYS top 5 albums. Have a beautiful day. Happiness and peace.